So, hi viewers, welcome to Podcask. Is it 22, 23, Brenny? What is it? I can't even remember. Is that bad?
23.
23? Wow.
So,
So, I'm Bilko,
I'm Brew.
and we've got a real special one, I would say, viewers. Not for the interest of transparency, we're recording this after the interview because we wanted to get our guest on tonight. He's obviously a big rugby fan.
Stuff, and he had a tight schedule, so we're recording this after the fact because he came on a bit earlier. It was all a bit rushed to get on, but what a guest! Really enjoyed it. An absolute cracking guy, Matt, Tinworks Brewery, an absolute gem of a guy. Totally gets the ethos of the community aspects and where he's from and loves where he's from, and generally you're going to be for a treat, guys. It's really enjoyable talking to him. Had a great hour there, didn't we, Bilko? Had a really good hour there.
We did have a good hour. Sorry we've not been on as much recently. We're wanting to make these bigger ones a wee bit more quality, try and get some guests on for you.
I think we'll go with the format of bonus brews and try and keep these longer ones to what they are, and we'll try and keep everything to under an hour-ish. The long ones will be an hour for you, and that'll be your whack, and then we'll do these 15-minute bonus brews. I think Bilko's the way forward.
Definitely, mate.
Just wee snippets.
Definitely,
especially for us as well going forward. It makes it easier for us.
It does indeed. So, without further ado, viewers, man, we'll pass you on to Math for Tinworks. He's here, the man, Llanelli's finest. It's Math from Tinworks. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. How are things?
Very good. Thanks very much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, delighted you're here, Math. That's brilliant. Cheers.
No, thanks for asking me.
No, you're very welcome. It's been a big thing for me and Brenny because we're having a wee laugh there, Brenny. Kidwelly Pilsner was one of the first ones that we ever reviewed on the podcast.
Going the way back to our first ever podcast, we had a bottle of Kidwelly, and I was gifted it by one of my local stores, so they must have had a few samples in, and I was up buying a few beers in my local store, just 500 yards up the road. I told them what I was doing, and they gifted me a bottle of it, so there you are. That's how we got to know Tinworks and how we've kept on going and put this order in. So it's good that it's known even in Glasgow, you know. So there you are.
There you are, indeed. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of beers with you tonight, Math. Listen, we're not going to mess about, Brenny. We're cracking this open straight away.
Let's
Old Castle Pale Ale.
Yeah.
Now, can I just ask you, can you tell us a wee bit about the beginnings of Tinworks Brewing, please, Math?
Yeah. Well, I started as a home brewer, as many brewers start at this day and age. My grandfather was a really keen home brewer, so he just brewed everything under the sun, you know. And when he sadly passed away, I think my gran just wanted the kit out of the house, so I inherited the kit. So I started on extract brewing, then I went on to all grain. Then, it just went into a bit of an obsession then. So I turned my parents' garage into the first Tinworks brewery. And I was probably brewing about 300 bottles every month then.
Wow.
And it's just, grown from there. So it's pretty mad where it's come from, you know, in 2 years. It's pretty mad. It's up to probably about 35,000 bottles every month now.
Oh, wow.
So absolutely brilliant.
So you can see. So you can see. Oh, mate. I've built
cheers. We did a wee cheers.
We'll do a wee cheers.
Cheers.
So you can really say it is right in the family, and the fact that you started on your grandfather's kit as well, that must have given you. It would have certainly given your grandmother a lot of pride, I think, that kind of stuff. Can I just ask you? You mentioned there about you were brewing 300 bottles a month. I mean, what were the kind of what kind of beers were you making, and do you still make some of these beers to this day?
Yeah. Well, that was the start of the core range really. So I started off with 3 beers. So it was the Old Castle Pale, Marshfield Red, and the Darwin IPA. So I was doing those 3 beers. And yeah, it's just grown from there really. So it's and I just got a few extra fermenters because it just wasn't on the shelves very long, you know. So it was just expanded. So yeah, it's pretty mad. So yeah, I still do. I've changed the process a bit, but yeah, they're the three beers that I did before. And to tell you the truth, the Old Castle Pale is, I was doing that on the old home brew. That was probably the first beer I made all grain. So yeah, I have tweaked it a bit, but it's still, you know, in essence the same beer.
We'll touch on this later on, but I've got a wee bit of a thing about pale ale, right? As the viewers will know, right? This is proper pale ale, isn't it, Brenny?
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just so clean and just got a lovely bitterness to it. Just really just doing clean. Really, you can sense that, no bother. I mean, I've only had a couple of sips and I can go all day on that.
Let's not.
Exactly what I'm looking for.
Let's not shoot our bolt too quickly here, Brenny, man, because I'm telling you, right, it is good, isn't it?
Really enjoy it.
Man, obviously we know all about you. You know, you've got the website tinworksbrewery.co.uk, etc., which we'll link to throughout for all the viewers. But can you just tell me, I mean, why are you actually called Tinworks Brewing? What's the story there?
Well, Llanelli is known as Tinopolis, so Llanelli was the biggest producer of tin plate outside the Klondike, I think, in the world back in the 1800s, and wow. It's just amazing now, because there's nothing, you know, there is one steelworks here, but all the tin plate works is gone, you know. So I wanted to bring like a bit of the history and heritage of Llanelli back into people's minds, you know, because you know, Llanelli was it's hell of a place to be back in the day, you know, and it's still a great place now. But when I speak to someone that doesn't live in Llanelli, I say I'm from Llanelli, they just look at me as if like I live in the Wild West or something, you know. So it's but yeah, so I just want to, you know, spread the word how great Llanelli is, you know, and looking back is a great way to do that, I think.
Definitely.
Well, if it's anything like what the beer tastes like, it's certainly going to be a great place. You touched on this earlier on, and I'm quite actually flabbergasted. Actually, you went from 300 bottles as a kind of, you know, essentially a home brewer, and you've ramped that up. I mean, how was that scary for you? You know, was that to commercial brewing from that to that? It must have been. I don't know. I'd have been shitting myself.
Yeah, it was. It's a bit of a strange thing because, first of all, when I was home brewing, it's probably about 30, 40 bottles. You know, so going from that to 300 bottles on a kit that I made myself was a bit scary because it's cost involved was one thing, and then expectation as well. Because I put it out on Facebook a bit too early, maybe, that, I set up a brewery, and so loads of people were texting me and asking me what was going on and things. So I put a bit of pressure on myself then. But yeah, the scale from, 30, 40 bottles to 300 bottles is pretty big, So I think I underestimated it a bit, but I think
How many people are you employing now?
Only myself.
Seriously, you're doing 35,000 bottles a month yourself?
Yeah, well, a lot of help with family and friends, so I rope them in boxing days. So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I love that.
But you must be getting close to moving forward with employees and stuff. Going forward. Even your website, I just noticed, I literally just clicked on the website, first time I looked at it, and it's completely different from when we were back in, was that June or July last year? We looked at the website and it was just like more a description of who you were. Now you can actually buy direct, etc., which has been revamped since the last time I looked at it.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, to do that amount with family and friends is incredible as well. You must have some credit with them with the beers you must give them.
Yeah, a couple of cases go to one side, so it's but yeah, I couldn't do it without them, so it's
can work while drink, can work while drink. It's a great ethos, that.
Yeah, I got to go and pick them up on bottling days because they, can't drive afterwards.
Yeah. I love on the website, obviously it tells you the story, so you'd kind of ramped it up. You had went from up to 300-400 bottles a month, and then you took the plunge and you moved to Carmarthen.
Yeah.
Now that's obviously a different area. Now I know what it's like in Wales. It's like Scotland's very similar. You've went, Llanelli's your patch. You've went to Carmarthen, is that? And how did you find? You basically had to come back to Llanelli. Now there's a wee story that I really love you to share with the viewers, and we don't know this, Brennan. We spoke to Matt off camera, but obviously if you tell us how you found the premises first of all, and then we really want to know about the brewing kit.
Well, like I said earlier on, it was stock wasn't really on the shelf for very long, so I had to upscale the brewery. So I was on the waiting list for a premises in Llanelli. And this perfect one came up. So it was, everything was there, 3-phase electric, plenty of water and all the rest of it. So that was great. So it was just finding a kit then, which was, was big enough, not too big, and, manageable just for me, So I went on the Cwrw classified. So it's like a Gumtree for brewing kit, so it's all secondhand stuff. So I saw this 10-barrel kit up in Scotland. So me and my father, flew into to Glasgow Airport. We took a trip up to Loch Lomond Brewery. So they were getting rid of their old kit because they've expanded to I think a 10 or a 30-barrel kit now. So they wanted to get rid of their old kit. So I was really, really lucky with that because it was perfect, and they made some amazing beers on that kit as well. So so I was a bit nervous because it was, I got quite a good, quite a big reputation to uphold with that kit now. So it's,
absolutely. So you could say the old Bonnie Banks of Lomond days made its way down to Llanelli as well.
Yeah. So I got a bit of Scotland in Llanelli.
Yep.
You'll be looking for the same again tonight at 8 o'clock when the lines clash. You'll be needing a bit of that luck with the old Scots tonight.
We're just going to touch on that. We might touch on that. Listen, I know we'll be hitting you up for a wee code for the viewers later on. If we did a business for you later in the show, you can tell us about that if you're up for that.
Yes, I can do.
So you've got the kit. You've got the premises. Now this is you said it's a 10-barrel kit. Mm-hmm. This is seriously ramped up again. What was the first thing you did on that? Did you, in fact, did you have to change anything when you went from the kind of smaller kit to the bigger kit in terms of like recipes, the process? What was that kind of like?
Yeah, it was hard because it's probably 10 times what I was brewing before. But it doesn't necessarily mean 10 times the ingredients. So it was a lot of, tinkering and things like that. It was, because you are allowed the tolerance with the alcohol levels and, bitterness and all the rest of it. So, but it wasn't what I wanted out of the beers. I wanted it to be exactly the same. So I took a couple of brews, a couple of mistakes. But we got there in the end. But it was hard work. And when you're talking about a 10-barrel kit, the ingredients that goes into it are quite a lot, So I didn't want to make too many mistakes because it's a lot of money to put down the drain,
I've heard that. I've heard that, and it's obviously it's good that you did a few brews there. Obviously, practice brews, you got it all up and running. Now this leads me to this. The first brew I believe that you did on this was at Oldcastle Pale Ale. Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
So, first of all, the name of the beer. Why is it called Oldcastle Pale Ale?
Well, all the beers are named after old tin plate works in Llanelli. So, so we've got the Oldcastle, the Marshfield, and Davin and things. But the Oldcastle, and I named it the Oldcastle because the first beer I made after Oldcastle because my gran lived on Oldcastle Road. So it was a bit of a nod to you know, grandfather, you know. So yeah, it's quite a special beer to me, that is. Yeah.
Cheers.
I'll
Cheers
drink to that.
big man.
I'll drink to that.
Yep. Now,
Yeah.
Your Gran and Granda.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, it's when I see the words pale ale in a beer, man, and it makes me it unnerves me, because I've had a few absolute stinking pale ales. Now, this is not quite. This is like an old school pale ale, Brenny. See the new school pale ale.
I think the more you drink it, the more you get the citrusy and the sort of
aye.
pininess of it. Initially, it was clean and crisp and down really. But there is a lot to it. You do get the pininess, you get the citrus fruits in it. I think it's, I mean, to me, it's superb. I'm so enjoying it. It really is a clean, nice beer that I can session all day. I mean, it's fantastic, Bilko.
Now, you buy this, I mean, obviously we get the Kidwelly Pilsner. In fact, I was going to actually ask you that. Obviously, we'll be showing everybody your website, etc., throughout the show. And that's predominantly where you'll get most of your sales. But we actually got, obviously, the Pilsner up there. So how do you actually get the beers? You know, if you're not buying, I mean, do you use like a distributor or something like that? Or how do you get them kind of everywhere? Because your stuff crops up pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, surprising. So I use a couple of wholesalers, you know, so I send, you know, a couple of pallets off to a wholesaler and they just go from there. So it just amazes me how far and wide it does go, you know. So I get emails coming through saying they enjoy the beer down in Brighton and, you know, up in Aberdeen, and it's just, yeah, mad. Because I still think of it as a bit of a homebrew setup, you know, so I keep it for myself, and you know, it's just, yeah, it's mad. It's really
the fact you're doing it yourself, Matt, is incredible. I mean, to do a 35,000 bottle setup, doing it yourself, that's just blowing my mind. That, I mean, that just it's incredible, and a round of applause to you for it, because it genuinely, it just seems so mind-blowingly big in comparison to like when you were talking about like 300 bottles 2 years ago. It's just incredible. It's incredible and well done for even the website and stuff. I mean, it's so switched on, easy to use, easy to navigate. So, congratulations, and most of all on the beer as well, because that is absolutely fantastic.
Brenny, listen, stop arse kissing, all right? Right, okay.
Hey, no, I'm honest.
So, Brenny, I'm ready to score this bad boy.
Yes, I'm ready to score it too. That's what I was up to.
You're going first tonight, big man?
No bother. So, would I buy again? Yes. And I'm going to highlight this value for money wise. Cases of this is going to be your go-to beers if you're buying cases of it. So, yeah, value for money, sessionable, definitely. Will I be buying again? Yes. Would I session it? 100% yes. I'd actually like a wee session of that, 6 or 7 of them, just to see where I end up. And score on it, I am going to give it an 8.25 Bilko.
Fantastic. That's
so
a high score.
I hope you're happy with that. I hope you're happy with that.
Yeah.
So, just to echo what Brenny said, would I buy that again? Yes. As soon as I'm finished, I'm going to jump onto the website, and if we're lucky enough to get a code, I'm going to buy more of it, man. Honestly, and sessionable. I can honestly say, recently we've been doing a lot of heavy hitters viewers, as you know, and it's like, you know, some of them are 8%, 10%, you know, 6.5%. I mean, this is coming in. We've not even touched on it. I mean, the percentage of this is 4.6, which 330 ml.
It's a sessionable beer.
It's sessionable. It's sessionable as fuck, man. And do you know what this is, Brenny? It's been a while since we've done this, man. It is tannable. Score-wise, I'm not going to procrastinate on this. It's an 8.75 for Bilko. So, Brenny, go.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, Math, thanks a lot. Obviously, we've scored pretty highly there. We've touched on a couple of the beers. You mentioned them earlier on, but can you just tell us about some of the other beers in your range?
Yeah. So so we've got the Old Castle, which we've just had now. We've got the Marshfield Red Ale, Davin IPA, Kidwelly Pilsner, the Morlais Session Lager, and we've got the Cwrw Grav as well.
Sorry, Sorry, Math, what was that? The Morlais Session Lager?
The Morlais.
Morlais. There we go. So,
in Scottish, that's Morlais.
Yeah.
That's Morlais.
Morlais, Brenny. Let's get this cracked on with this bad boy.
Yep, definitely. Looking forward to it, guys.
Nice
This is my
bar,
first one of these. I've not had one of these, I don't think. So I think I've still got a few in the fridge, so I'm looking forward to
that. While we're pouring this, Math, and obviously I'm assuming you're I love the fact you're pouring one yourself as well, big man. I just want to touch there, you mentioned there the Marshfield Red. Am I pronouncing it Marshfield okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So it was a stunning colour. Looked, it tasted phenomenal. Can you tell us a wee bit about that one?
Yeah. I think I wanted to do a red ale. It's probably not my the best seller, but I'm quite adamant to keep it in the range because I love it so much, you know.
It was just I love the fact you're keeping it in your core range, even just because you like it. Because I think more people come to you, they'll try more things. So I think you get a kick on from that. And I think that's brilliant that you're keeping it in your core range because it is a fantastic beer that I hope other people do try. So it was one we enjoyed the other week, wasn't it, Bilko?
Loved
that. We had that, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the bitter. How do you pronounce it?
The Cwrw Grav?
Oh, almost, yeah. It's the Cwrw. Grav.
Cheers. That is a stunning looking beer. And talking of stunning beers, we had it's the Cwrw Grav, but I believe give us a proper pronunciation of it, please, Math.
It's Cwrw Grav.
Brilliant. 500 ml Welsh bitter. Really cool picture on the front of that. And it fitted brilliantly in our big Steiners. Can you just tell us a wee bit about that beer because we really enjoyed it?
Yeah. So it's named after Ray Gravel. So Cwrw means beer in Welsh. So Grav's beer. So Grav was like a Welsh rugby legend. So he was larger than life personality. Everyone knew him, but never met him. If you know what I mean. So it's he was, but he sadly passed away and. His wife has set up like a foundation in his name. So they help local charities and things like that. So I thought, it's not only the buildings that make the town, it's the people as well, So and I think Grav like epitomizes Llanelli, So he loves the area. He loves speaking Welsh, like many people in Llanelli do. So I thought, I'd love to name a beer after him and donate 13% of the profits to his charity because 13% was his jersey number,
That is really stunning. If Marth, I'll get the link for that if that's okay once we've finished off you and have a look at that because that is stunning. Real community spirit there. It sounded like an absolute legend. Touching on something there, did you make it? I mean, did he like prefer a pint? Would you say maybe as opposed to a 330ml, and that's why you went for the bigger bottle on that, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. Grav didn't do anything by half, sort of thing. So he's he was a pint bloke. So, and I thought it's quite a sessionable drink as well. So with the other beers, maybe not so much with the IPA is 6.3 with me. So. You don't really want a pint of that, but with a 3.9% bitter, you go with a pint of it. Yeah.
100%. There is one thing I'd like to touch on as well, just as a top quality brewer myself. When I put a picture of my home brew on Instagram, we were inundated with tens of millions of requests. So I can empathise what you were saying earlier on. But joking aside, one thing I have noticed is the pH level. Now, obviously, Scotland's well known, Highland Spring, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, Wales is well renowned for the quality of the water. And And does things like the pH level, would you say that gives it like of the Welsh water, does that give it a kind of unique kind of Welsh taste, Welsh kind of freshness, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Water is the biggest ingredient of brewing, and we look at and where it does rain quite a bit, but it's good for the water, us brewers. So with I do add salts and things to Burtonize the water, so as to change the water profile of it. But you don't really need to add anything really to the water. So it's just it's perfect as it is, really. So it's quite lucky down here.
Absolutely. It's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of lagers out there. Don't want to name them. And a lot of the commercial ones, it is difficult to brew a session lager. And all the brewers that we know, they always say the same thing. Like a lager, session lager, even like Pilsners as well, is one of the hardest ones to do. So this Morlais session lager I'm actually struggling to not just down it, man, right? So can you tell us about this one specifically, because we're obviously going to mark this one. Just a bit about the Morlais, session lager, please.
Yeah, no worries. Well, that came from the Kidwelly Pilsner Festival. So people were drinking the Kidwelly Pilsner and saying that they couldn't cope with the 5.2% session of it. So I thought I'd better, make a sessionable lager. So like you said, lager is really, really hard to brew, because it shows all the flaws in it, because there's hardly any hops in it, and it's just, it shows all the imperfections of the brewing process, So your cleaning needs to be up to standard. Your practices need to be perfect, pretty much, to get the lager right. So it's difficult. That's why a lot of people don't brew the lagers, because they haven't got the equipment sometimes, and it is really, really time consuming. So it takes probably 2 or 3 times as long as an ale to brew. So, but it's a labour of love, so brewing lagers. So
Listen,
and
I love the fact there. So the Welsh boys, they can't handle their 5.2%ers of that. They need to get something a wee bit lighter.
Well, the boys are all right. It's the wives and the girlfriends.
The lacing on that, I mean, it's just a superb lager. I mean, that's a 330 ml bottle in a 500 ml glass, and the lacing on that is superb. And the actual, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, but the quality, it's just the carbonation in it and stuff, superb. It really is a lovely, lovely beer. Lovely beer, just clean as a whistle. Absolutely clean.
I'd actually like to touch on this, Brenny. Now, Math, I do apologise. It's that time, that awkwardness. I don't want you to be cringing here, but we're going to go to town here, aren't we, Brenny? Right. So yourself, Brenny, how is it for you, mate? What's your score?
If we're going on the scoring wise, we'll go with the usual. Would you buy it again? That's 100%. Again, I can't highlight enough the value for money that Matt's offering, and again, I can't highlight enough how sessionable it is. You literally could sit here and drink that all night and just be happy. A case of that at a party would be ideal. Just share as many as you want and drink as many as you want. Scoring wise, that's my favourite beer that you've done, mate. I'm giving it an 8.75.
Aye, mate.
That's a really, really nice. For me, that's. There is the one that I haven't enjoyed. I enjoyed the Cwrw. I enjoyed the red ale. The last one, you heard me talk about that, but that's my favourite so far, and 8.75. Honestly, that's
brilliant.
I can see why. I can see the demand for it, for a sessionable lager, and I can understand why, because you could sit and drink that all day and be happy, and you wouldn't have the effects of not enjoying the day. So you could have a long day on that and really enjoy it, and that's why I would give it 8.75. It's a cracking beer.
Superb, Brenny.
Everything says it all.
Superb, mate. Superb. Would I buy that again? Math, we're not bullshitting you here, mate. We'll be putting an order in as soon as we're finished tonight. 100%. Would I session it? 4%. Probably one of the best session lagers we've ever had in the show. It's just simply some of the session lagers you can get. It's just so clean and crisp.
They lose a bit of their taste, don't they? They lose that what you like about them, which is that sort of bit of hoppiness, bit of maltiness, bit of taste. You know, they actually lose it with the weakness of it. But there isn't any of that in that. It's a crack beer. It's
stunning. So yes. Score-wise, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, viewers. It's
often Bilko goes higher than me twice, by the way. If you watch back your shows, he doesn't go off higher than you often.
Brenny, it's only because the Cwrw was, that was an 8.75 beer for me. The Morlais is it's like it's going to make me want to pronounce the name of that lager because it is that bloody good. It's just, mate, honestly, it's really, really good.
Give me one of them, the usual point. One of them.
Listen, Brenny, we're trying to get a code off him, right? So we need to be nice to him, all right?
Sorry, man.
Right? Sorry, man. So, yeah, 9 out of 10. And I think just on this one, we'll do a wee cheers between the phrase because that is an absolute belter.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. So we'll just keep the camera rolling if that's okay.
Yep.
The Math, we ask in general, we've touched upon this quite a bit about community. And we can tell with you, Llanelli is very important to you, family connection, the rugby, everything. I can tell, do you think beer and pubs and breweries, they are quite important to the community? What's your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is hugely important, especially now because people have just missed it for the last year, haven't they? So I think it's like the modern equivalent of like a campfire, so it's just you sit around the table with a beer and just talk. Most of the time you don't even talk sense, but it's just talking to people, so it's and it's just somewhere to watch a bit of sport, meet up with friends, meet up with new friends, and it's just when you walk into the pub, everyone's on like a level playing field, and so everyone just you can talk to like a doctor one end, and then you can talk to a brewer another side of the room. So it's just it's hugely important, and I think everyone has missed it the last year or so.
I think we have. We'll obviously echo that now. I'm kind of getting the impression now that your grandfather was obviously a well-known brewer in the local area. Now I could imagine there might have been some community parties kicking about his house at some point in the past.
Yeah, it's been known. Yeah. So he was like a treasurer or a secretary of like a local club, So when the party finished there, it was back to my grandfather's house and my grandmother's house. So many times he's had a Llanelli rugby player, there till the early morning, So the party was always in his house. Yeah.
Brilliant. What was your grandfather's name, please, Math?
It's Les Stevenson.
So was it like kind of Leslie's lock-in? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And Winnie, my grandmother, was cleaning up after him.
So it sounds, I tell you, man, it sounds like it's born, it's ripping out you, the community, the family, and it's all about the kind of beers that everybody loves. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely stunning. Is there any other local breweries, anyone round about your area at all that you would like to maybe mention at all? Any other ones you think maybe the viewers should be looking at? Oh,
there's quite a few. There's on the traditional side, Vellenvol is in Llanelli. So I think they were the oldest brewery in Wales.
Wow.
And they were the first people to can in the UK, I think. So it's they got a massive tradition there. Yeah. So they're good for the older traditional beers. And then further afield, then you've got Tenby Brewing Company, which are really, really nice. So they do mostly craft beers, so they're really, really nice. So they're probably about an hour down the road. But yeah, it's there's quite a few springing up now, and it's great to see.
Absolutely. You've got, obviously, we know you've got on your website as well. We did notice, and I was actually tempted to order a couple of these as well. I'm not going to lie, but you've got a few guest beers on there. Obviously, you've got the Welsh, the modern classics on there. I mean, how does that come about there? Obviously, you are supporting kind of the Welsh scene there as well. So, can you tell us a wee bit about the guest beers? I mean, how do you choose them, for example?
Yeah, well, it's purely on a selfish basis. Is what I want to drink really. So it's but it's with the Welsh breweries. It's I don't know. I think it's they scratch my back and I'll scratch their back type thing. So I don't know how many times a brewery's recommended my beers to like a restaurant or a pub. And I do the same. So it's that's a good thing about the brewing scene is everyone helps each other out, so it's good. But yeah, with the other guest ales is purely what I want to drink pretty much.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
Brilliant. We've got the viewers' questions as usual, my man. So I'm expecting a good answer for this one. If you could drink one beer for the rest of your life and it's not your own, what would it be?
Oh, this was a hard one because
we'll give you two. Okay,
right. Dogfish Head would be one 90-minute IPA. It's it's unbelievable. My parents brought it back from holidays in America, and you can't get it in the UK. So it's just I don't know.
That sounds like my green flash. I went to California and I get some green flash West Coast IPA that they don't sell it outside of California, and that's still up there with one of my favourite beers ever.
Yeah,
it's 8 years ago, so I understand that.
Yeah, I don't know whether you can't get it and you just I think that's what it is. But it was such a great beer, so that's definitely up there, and I think Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is another one. So that was the beer that probably changed it for me, because I was on, drinking, Guinness. Nothing wrong with Guinness. It's probably the best commercial beer about. But yeah, that changed it for me. So
what do you think? Obviously, I mean, to me, the recipe seems to have changed on the old Sierra Nevada over the years. Yeah. Which actually kind of brings me on nicely to the next question I was going to ask you, and this is from a friend we have that's heavily involved in brewing. And what do you think of the amount of adjuncts that craft brewers are using these days in their brews?
I think there's a place for it. There is a place for it, but I don't know. There's a lot of breweries out there now that are doing, like peanut butter, jelly, jam, sausage roll beers. So it's just, I don't know. There is a place for it, but yeah, it's not to my taste. I like a beer tasting of beers. So
yeah.
I don't mind. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be doing like a chocolate porter. But I think you can go overboard with it as well. I think.
We're definitely with you on that, and that's one thing we've touched on the channel before. Is that, and myself and Brennan, we've discussed it when we've been absolutely wrecked on the channel on previous episodes. But it's craft beer. It's just good beer, isn't it? It's not really craft beer. It's just good beer. And that's why we like you guys, because it's the traditional style. And I know you've touched on that as well. I'm going to ask you a wee bit about going forward. I noticed on the website, and again, check out the website, guys. It'll be linked here. You've done the odd seasonal as well. You mentioned there you're going to do is it a chocolate porter or a chocolate stout or?
Yeah. So that's the I'm going to be doing like an experimental range. So it's pretty much just to keep the juices flowing, and once you brew the same beer all constantly, it just gets the same then, isn't it? So
is it going to be limited that?
Yeah, so it's going to be just 1,000 bottles per batch, or thereabouts, and that'll be it then. And I'll move on to the next beer. So I'm going to be doing the chocolate porter. That'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks now. Then I'll be doing like a New England IPA then like Imperial IPAs and, you know, all off the wall stuff, you know. So yeah, looking forward to coming up with recipes for those.
Brilliant. So it's going to be like you going back to your roots in a way, because you're only going to be putting out the 1,000 bottles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, so if you want an original Matt Stevenson, absolute classic, 1,000 bottle limited edition beer, keep your eye on the website, on his socials, which we will link to obviously all throughout the show. Now, this is just from a purely selfish, not that I am a novice brewer, Math, because I'm a top-notch brewer. But what advice would you give to anyone out there, you know, just that's getting into brewing or watching this and thinking, you know, I want to have a go at that? Because your story is phenomenal. What advice would you give to someone starting out in the brewing actual aspect of it? What would you say to them, mate?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. First of all, is don't underestimate the cleaning. So cleaning is everything. I was surprised how much cleaning goes into it, and if your cleaning isn't up to standard, then it does show, especially in lagers and things like that. So that's the big thing is cleaning. Water is another one, like I touched on before. Is the biggest part of biggest ingredient of beer. So if you can get your water tested, I think Murphy's do it. That's what I send it off to. I think it's like 19 quid. They analyze it, and then they tell you what salts to put in the beer for different styles. That's a big change you'll notice in that. And the other bit is the temperature control of fermentation. So if you can get yourself a fridge and get like a thermostat linked to it, that's what I did, and I put it in the living room. The wife wasn't too happy with that. It did bring the beer on like a hell of a lot, yeah.
I think they're actually brilliant advice. Thanks for the thoroughness on that answer, because anyway, I'll be telling my friend who's just started brewing to make sure he does that. Obviously, I'm with you on that, Matt. I was going to tell the viewers that anyway. So
if you want any more advice, just you know, send me a text or something.
Fantastic. I'll tell my friend that, mate. So last of all, right, if Scotland do the business tonight, which I'm confident we will do, if Hoggy and the boys do the business, have we got in for the viewers? Now, before you say this, mate, I do notice if you sign up to your mailing list, which I did myself, you do automatically get 15% off.
Yeah.
So if people cannot be arsed, which I'm sure they will do, signing up to the mailing list, is there anything you can give us?
Yeah, we'll be able to do like only if you do the business tonight. My fingers are crossed. Fingers are crossed. We can do a 15%. So if you put Braveheart 15 in the coupon, and then you get the old 15% off then.
Brilliant.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Right.
Well, hopefully we'll be channeling the spirit of Braveheart tonight with the boys, and we'll do the business, because we're always up for helping our Celtic cousins, so we are.
And we'll slay the cockerel. Hopefully.
Yeah, will do. I like that one, Brenny. And, so I just want to ask, you know, before we kind of close things off, me and Brenny we're going to do a porter review, the Ashburnham Porter, after you're gone. But I'm conscious of the time, man. So, is there any shout outs or anything you want to mention to MD or anything at all?
Yeah, it's just family and friends, really. So, like, my wife puts up with a lot, you know, because I'm down the brewery 6 days a week, and on a Sunday I normally take it off with the kids, but I don't really take it off because I'm on my phone answering emails and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate that. And like my auntie, my uncle, my parents, you know, they're just down the brewery constantly helping me out and delivering and all the rest of it. So it's without them I couldn't do the old 35,000 a month, you know. I could never do it.
If it's just so as you know, Matt, if you're ever looking for a bit of hand down there, and you're giving away like kegs of this Morlais Session Lager, and we're passing through, we'll come and help you bottle up, mate. All right.
Can work.
Now, all joking aside, lads, I've pulled out the old, the nearest I could get to tin for this. Cheers at the end. Nice. Listen, we would normally give a wee cheers to the viewers, Matt, but I think it's only poignant and apt tonight that we give a big cheers out to your grandfather Les. And Matthew, thank you very, very much for coming on the show. It's been really nice hearing your passion, how good you are to it. But can I just say to Les, to Tinworks, cheers.
Les, the Tinworks, going to Llanelli.
Cheers.
Scots against the French.
Got it, Scots. Money Celtic. So, beer number 3, Mavs away, hopefully celebrating a Scotland victory by now. We've got the Ashburnham Porter. Now, if you're watching this and you've watched the whole video, take advantage of that code.
Brave Heart 15, only if we win tonight, only if we win.
What Matt did tell us, by the way, if we don't win the night, if you sign up to the mailing list, there's a wee code in there and you'll get your 15 anyway. But Brenny, I'll tell you something, man, that was a cracking wee night we've had so far, isn't it?
It's been brilliant. It's been a cracking wee early start on a Friday after work, my first day off in a long time. So,
here we go. Brenny's are you off? You've not mentioned it.
Have I not?
No.
I'm back in work for 2.5 weeks, man. I'm all the moon.
Oh my God, man. Listen, I'm going to get up the road. So fuck, I can't. Big man. Look at this, man. Cheers, big man. Yeah. So this is an Ashburnham Porter from Tinworks.
And he describes it quite simply as rich in flavour, deep in character, and in first taste. I've got to agree with that. That is absolutely that. Again, I mean, I like what the guy's doing.
Aye.
I mean, math is hitting exactly what I want. I mean, when you hear the story of what he's going to tell you, because I don't want to divulge too much. Well, in fact, we're into the third review anyway, so it's fine.
We can.
So I mean, the fact he's went from 300 bottles a month to 35,000 bottles a month.
75. 75.
I thought he said 35.
75.
Jeez, oh man.
And it's core. Listen, it might not be fashionable to do the same beers all over and over again, but it's perfectly good. See, when you're knocking them out at £2.20, £2.30 a bottle.
Genuinely.
Absolutely.
Use the code, buy a couple of everything that he's got.
Aye.
You're not going to be disappointed, honestly. For the value for money you're getting on the beers you're buying, you're not going to be disappointed at all. The guy's hitting exactly what traditional beers should be.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's no one of them I've tried yet that I've been disappointed with. So definitely be buying and give support to Tinworks.
Yeah,
and also because the guy's working his arse off. You can tell the boy's tired.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even see he's going to work tomorrow morning to do another shift. You know, and he looked tired. The boy did look. I mean, and that's no disrespect to him, but you could see that he's enjoying having a couple of beers and talking about them and loving the support. But just definitely a brewer I would love people to try and support.
Absolutely, mate. And
he's well worth it. He is well worth it.
But one thing we never touched on, and during the interview there, was the cost of it, man. This is the main reason I was scoring it so highly. I mean, the Porter. I mean, that's a £2.30 beer. It's individually. You can buy 12 for 26. He does kegs. The Cwrw Grav, the Cwrw, 260, 5ml. He's got 6.4% DAF and IPA, which we never tried tonight. 230, the Pilsner 230, Marshfield Red 220, and what I love, mate, and they're out of stock. I have noticed that when the kegs come in, mate, they fly out the shelf. He does loads of kegs as well. £22 for a keg, mate. And this is a guy that's mastered it, mate. The Old Castle, £2.10. This is a guy that he's obviously been passed down the recipes, etc. But he's mastered and he's worked very, very hard to become a home brewer. And essentially, mate, he still is a wee bit of a kind of home brewer, except
the guy's working himself. Yep. I mean, and I even made the point when we were talking to him about how his website's improved and stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And hats off to him. A lovely guy, really nice talking to him. He really came across just as a genuine community person. When we were talking about the pubs and stuff like that, talking to his grandfather, his grandmother, talking about how the influence of rugby and how Llanelli, the rugby team, used to win the lockdowns and the lessies. You know, it's just a grand guy. I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for, isn't it?
Aye, 100%.
Similar experiences to our communities growing up, and that's exactly what you would expect.
Yep.
So I've been a brilliant night, and the third beer on the night is just it's putting a nightcap on it, even though it's only 7:30 at night before the rugby starts. But like, it's putting a nightcap on the podcast. Lovely, because that, as described, very smooth, rich in flavour, deep in character, and that is exactly what he's done there. Ashburnham Porter. And I think, as you said, all the names are based on the local Tinworks in the Llanelli area. So you're just, I mean, he's got, as you said, he's trying to promote Llanelli with the history of it. And I think that, I mean, he was talking about people make Llanelli, and look at where we're from. That's our go-to statement. Do you know what I mean? Our go-to statement. Whenever you mention that to him, but that is how we sell ourselves as a city. People make Glasgow. So there's obviously big similarities with the people of Wales and the Scottish people, and especially the Llanelli and Glasgow, you know. So
yeah.
I've had an absolute crack night. We've had 3 beers over the space of just an hour and a bit, and it's been cracking.
It has been.
It's been looking forward to it, and this has been as good as you can hope.
Absolutely.
So, hats off to Math, hats off to yourself, Bilko, for organising it, because it's been a major coup. And have to say, hats off to me for getting that lager originally to introduce so, there we go.
It was Genesis back in July when they were the first people on the show to completion.
That is crazy. That is actually crazy how that came about. I totally forgot about it.
It's mental, mate. I want to just touch on what you said there, Brenny, and it's Llanelli, it's Glasgow, it's Edinburgh, it's Wales, it's Penrith, it's Europe, it's
London,
Aberdeen,
Manchester,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Dublin, Belfast, Cork, Donegal. You know, it's like everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. The whole scene of good beer and people trying to do something that means something to them is everywhere. And you get a real taste, a real feel for it. And when you meet the people, it just makes it all the better. Do you know what I mean? It just makes it all the better. When we talk to Copenhagen Bruce every day, and his love and passion of the beer and what he does, I mean, that's what makes beer. That's what makes good beer. So let's keep on doing it, and let's keep on trying to broaden our horizons and try as much as we can, because it's good beer's good beer, and community's community, and lockdown will be over soon enough, and we'll all be back to being vaccinated and going to the pub. And
100%, mate.
That's all we can hope for. And let's keep on doing what we're doing in the meantime and move forward once we get a chance to get to pubs and do podcast live.
Aye. I'll come into a pub near you. So, big man, are you ready? Are you ready to score this?
I'm ready to score it. I'm happy to score it. It's easy to score. It's easy to score. All it feels is easy to score.
Just for editing purposes, Big Ian, if you can go first again tonight.
Certainly, no ball. So with a buy again, that's 100%. That's as good a porter as you're going to get. With a session, no problem at all. I've not actually looked at the ABV, so I will 5% ABV, sessionable porter, really delicious. I mean, his description of it is bang on, smooth, rich in flavour, deep character, and that's exactly what you expect in any porter. It just has all the coffee hints, and all the other chocolate hints, everything you want to say that should have in it to score it, with a section of 5. Marks out of 10, yeah, 8.5, because it's a crack beer. 8.5, no bother at all, no qualms about scoring any of the Tinworks stuff very highly. And I'll base a lot of that on value for money as well, because I think you're getting a product out there that's a lot cheaper than what you can buy other similar types of beer, and it's good value for money.
And you're getting 15% off?
We are Braveheart 15, only if Scotland win the night right enough, but we're confident that's going to happen.
Yeah, we are. So, Brenny, no procrastinating here at all for me. Buy again, yes. Sesh, yes, 5%. Fantastic porter. It's, I would actually say that Math is an all-round king of sessionable beer. The only one that he does that's a wee bit stronger is the Daffin IPA, which we never tried on the show because it's that popular down that neck of the woods that it was gone. So aye, scores out of 10. I'm actually going to give it an 8.5 as well, Brenny. I think for me, I like, you know me, I prefer my I'm calling it Morlais. I've still got the Welsh on me, mate. I prefer my sessionable ones. It's quite rich. And it just ticks every box that you want off a porter, so 8.5. So, big man, cheers. Touch on a couple of things, big man, if it's all right. First thing, if you're watching this tonight and you've seen us through Instagram, we want to say a massive thank you. We've hit 500 followers on Instagram, so thank you very much for that. It's much appreciated. If you're watching this tonight and you're not subscribed, listen, we get it, right? We're just a couple of, you know, boys from Glasgow, etc. But if you like what you're seeing, give us a wee sub. It helps us. We really enjoy doing it.
Subscribe, like, and share is the best way you can put it. Just do it, because ultimately, we've all got a goal of making something more popular. And if we can make this channel more popular and watchable, that's all we're trying to do. We've already got a quota of 250 subscribers on YouTube, which we thank you all very much for. Because genuinely it makes it worthwhile. We don't do it just for the likes and that whatever else, but ultimately there's a goal behind it to make it popular, to show craft beer and good beer, as we call it. It's not craft beer, it's good beer. So to show that there's a diverse range of products out there that everybody's interested in, and if we can shed some light on it and show you other brewers that you've maybe never even heard of, I mean, we're daily getting new orders in that we're buying ourselves to try and keeping a few back to do a bit of a review. And so we're just trying to show you, as consumers as like ourselves, that there's other things out there apart from what you normally know.
Brenny, brilliant point, big man. A couple of things I'd like to touch on there, what you just said there as well. You shout out to Alan, obviously. Big supporter of the channel. He's hit us up the day. He's like, gave us a really nice recommendation. And as usual, we get the recommendations. We'll put our money where our mouth is, won't we? So keep going with that.
Back up straight away. As soon as Alan mentioned the lagers for Utopian Brewing down in Devon, we were straight on the case. We got a wee 50 quid order in there with a bit of glassware as well, because he couldn't be more highly praising of them. So when you get somebody who's watching the channel and supporting their social media, like Alan does, and you take a recommendation, you go and do it. You just buy it there and then, because you're taking that. Andy's input is going to be good, and especially people who are supporting us and giving us recommendations. So delighted that Alan did that.
Brenny, no BS on this.
Yep.
I did finally put the order. I processed the order for the Zoigo t-shirts today as well. And Alan's obviously getting one of them. And other thing I wanted to just, well, Brenny said it all there, to be fair. Absolutely said everything. I don't want to bang on about it. Obviously, you know, we've got proper jobs. But we're having a wee laugh there with Brenny. But it's thoroughly deserved time off that Brenny's earned there. Got proper jobs, so we'd like some feedback. If you like obviously we've had Kieran on, and again another guy that was born and bred into the whole scene, very similar to Math in different ways.
Different ways, but born into the scene of being around beer and community that beer creates. And that's a great thing. So and I was born into that different way, just like born into watching. So that's how I've continued. So.
Mate, the thing is, if it wasn't for guys like Math and Kieran, we would never be able to do that shit. You know what I mean? So if you know anyone else like that out there, or if you like...
Anybody wants a wee plug in their wares, and remember, we buy everything. Everybody who's came on will tell you that. Andy that's been on the show as a guest will tell you we put our money where our mouth is, so we're paying for the product so that you get decent reviews. And yeah, we do review everything quite highly, and we do always give things. Well, we don't always give things a good pass mark, but in general, we're quite positive people.
But Brenny, we don't buy shite. We do not.
That's it. You do your homework. You do your homework as if
Yeah.
what you're buying it, where you're buying it before you buy it. So
100%. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Brenny, I think that's been a thoroughly enjoyable evening.
yep, it has been indeed. And just touch on some of the ones coming up. We've got North Brewing from Leeds. We've got them in the tank. Who else have we got? Bilko. We've got a few.
We've got a couple of. We might do a couple of bonus brews from. Well, maybe one or two, maybe for 71 Brewing.
So we have. We've got 71 Brewing to do. We've done the Tinworks. We've got the order from Utopian. So we've got a few more lined up, guys. Yeah, we are busy people.
Brenny, have you seen anything in the background there?
Oh, we've got the new bands. Aye, sorry, we've got the new band. Sorry, we've got Bilko's homebrew today.
Yeah. So
How dare I say homebrew? We've got Bilko's. What are we calling it? Willamette Walker.
Whoa! Wait, fuck, man. We're going to.
Bruce is calling his Willamette Walker.
I better not. I'm going to kill him, man.
It's already the name. It's already the name, bro.
We might call it the Anti-Bruce.
Oh.
We're going to have some fun with that tomorrow. Yeah, we're taking it on board, mate. And as you say, Christ, mate, I'm blown away. We're looking forward to it. Hopefully doing something special in the coming months. And anything we get back for this, Brenny, we'll plough straight back into it. 100%. So
we're obviously going to have a few more giveaways happening, etc., etc. So listen, keep on watching, keep on liking, keep on sharing, keep on subscribing. Tell your pals, tell your friends, tell your family, because we enjoy it. Hope you do too.
Cheers, big man.
Cheers.
Love you, mate.
Love you.